It began inside a house that looked like paradise. A stunning 5-story mansion in the heart of Bengaluru's Marathahalli. From the outside, it was the picture of success. Marble floors, shining chandeliers, and a quiet air of pride that comes only from hard work and happiness. But soon this same house would become the center of one of Karnataka's most shocking mysteries. This was the home of a respected doctor couple, Dr. Kruthika Reddy and Dr. Mahendra Reddy. To everyone around them, they were the definition of a perfect life, intelligent, rich, and deeply in love. But behind those polished walls, something was slowly breaking, something no one could see coming. Kritika had always been the pride of her family. Born to K. Muni Reddy, a successful businessman and retired electrical engineer, and Saujanya Reddy, a lawyer, she had everything a girl could dream of. Her parents had built a legacy worth crores, properties, rental shops, and luxury homes across Bengaluru. Yet their greatest treasure was their 2 daughters, Dr. Nikita and Dr. Kritika. Nikita, the elder one, was a radiologist, confident, logical, and sharp. Kritika, the younger, was more sensitive, a dreamer who wanted to heal people and make her parents proud. From a young age, she was brilliant in academics. After earning her MBBS from Vaidehi Institute of Medical Sciences, she pursued her MD in dermatology from Navodaya Medical College in Raichur, followed by a DNB from the National Board. A glowing career awaited her, and by the time she joined Bengaluru's prestigious Victoria Hospital as a dermatologist, she was already a name of respect in her field. That's where she met Dr. Mahendra Reddy, a young, charming surgeon specializing in gastroenterology. Mahendra came from an equally reputed medical family. His father, Srinivas Reddy, ran a surgical equipment business and pharmacy. His mother, Pramila, was a homemaker. Mahendra was the middle of 3 brothers, one of whom, Nagendra, was his identical twin. On paper, they looked like the ideal match. Their meeting seemed almost destined. 2 doctors serving in the same hospital, united by passion, dedication, and long shifts spent saving lives. Their friendship quickly turned into love. The families approved without hesitation. And so, after a few months of courtship, their love story was sealed. A love-come-arranged marriage. Kritika's family spared no expense. Their wedding, held on May 26, 2024, at the luxurious Mantra Kalyana Mantapa in Gunjur, was nothing short of royal. Over 2 crore rupees was spent. Her father gifted her a magnificent 3 crore rupee house in Ayappa Layout, Marathahalli, a 5-story dream home custom-built for his beloved daughter and her new husband. He wanted her to live like a queen, surrounded by everything she deserved. Before their wedding, the couple even traveled to Kashmir for a pre-wedding photo shoot. Their smiling faces against the snow-covered hills were uploaded on YouTube, a video filled with laughter, promises, and dreams. It was called A Love Written in the Stars. But life, as fate would prove, had written something far darker. After marriage, Kritika moved into her husband's family home in Gunjur. Life went smoothly. She was adored by her parents, respected by patients, and busy building her future. But despite the smile she carried, Kritika had small health problems. Minor gastric and metabolic issues, low blood pressure, and occasional weakness. Nothing major, she thought. Her husband, after all, was a gastrosurgeon. Who better to treat her than him? Months passed. The couple was planning to open their own private clinic, Skin and Scalp, a dream Kritika had cherished for years. Her father even helped build the clinic near Maratha, with the inauguration date set for May 4th, 2025. It was meant to be the beginning of a new chapter, but destiny was quietly preparing its cruel twist. In April 2025, Kritika called her husband complaining of stomach pain. Mahendra came home immediately and gave her an injection. By night she felt better, but by the next morning her pain returned. Out of concern, Mahendra decided to take her to her parents' home, a place where she always felt safe and comforted. For the next 2 days she seemed fine, busy talking about the clinic, planning its interior and preparing medicine lists. Everything appeared normal again. On the night of April 23rd, Kritika had dinner with her parents and then returned to her own house, the one her father had gifted her. Around 9 p.m., Mahendra arrived. Like every night, he gave her her usual dose of medicine and injection. Kritika, trusting her husband completely, didn't question him. She smiled faintly and said she'd see him in the morning. That was the last time anyone saw her alive. The next morning, April 24th, 2025, Mahendra woke up early. The house was silent. Kritika was still lying in bed. He tried to wake her, but she didn't move. Her hands were cold, her body still. Panic filled the room. Within moments, Mahendra called his mother-in-law, saying, "Kritika isn't responding. I'm taking her to the hospital." At Kaveri Hospital, doctors checked her pulse, her heartbeat, but it was too late. Dr. Kruthika Reddy, just 31 years old, was gone. The family was shattered. Her parents were inconsolable. How could their perfectly healthy daughter die so suddenly? Relatives whispered that perhaps her long-standing gastric issues had taken a turn for the worse. Everyone assumed it was natural, a tragic accident of fate. The doctors suggested a post-mortem just to be sure, but Mahendra refused. "What's the point?" he said. "She's gone. Let her rest." Even Kritika's father agreed. They wanted peace, not more pain. But there was one person who didn't agree: Kritika's elder sister, Dr. Nikita. Being a doctor herself, Nikita couldn't shake off the feeling that something was wrong. Her sister was weak, yes, but not fatally ill. "No," she told her father, "we need answers." Despite everyone's hesitation, Nikita went ahead and filed a medical legal case, MLC, ensuring the post-mortem was done under police supervision. The report came back a few days later, showing nothing unusual. No poison, no visible cause. The doctor said it looked like natural causes. Kritika was cremated, and the family, drowning in grief, accepted it as fate. Weeks turned into months. Mahendra moved to Manipal for work, staying away from Bengaluru and from memories that haunted him. Kritika's parents couldn't bear to visit the house they had built for her. Eventually, her father donated it for spiritual purposes, to hold prayer gatherings and meditation sessions in her name. It gave them a strange sense of peace, but also left behind a lingering question. Because somewhere deep down, Dr. Nikita still couldn't let go of a single thought. Healthy people don't just die in their sleep. And 6 months later, she would be proven right. 6 months had passed since the night Dr. Kruthika Reddy was found lifeless in her own home. Her family tried to move forward, though the silence she left behind was unbearable. Her parents turned her house into a small place of prayer, where people gathered to sing hymns and light candles in her memory. Her sister, Dr. Nikita, would often sit there quietly, her eyes fixed on the empty walls. Something in her heart refused to rest. Kritika's death had been declared natural, but Nikita's instincts whispered otherwise. She knew how the human body worked, and nothing about her sister's death made sense. Then on the morning of October 13th, 2025, the phone rang. It was the Forensic Science Laboratory in Bengaluru. The officer's voice was steady but heavy. "Madam, the final toxicology report is ready." Nikita froze. For months, no one had asked about the samples preserved during the post-mortem. It was supposed to be routine, but the truth waiting inside that envelope would shake everyone's beliefs to the core. The report revealed traces of a strong anesthetic compound, one that's typically used in operation theaters to sedate patients before surgery. Doctors call it the sleep drug. Powerful, precise, and deadly if misused. The amount found in Kritika's system wasn't a medical dose, it was an overdose, enough to stop her heart completely. Her death wasn't an accident, it was murder, executed with medical precision. Within hours, the police contacted Kritika's father, Kruthika Reddy, asking him to come to the station. He stood silent as the officer handed him the report. It was as if someone had torn open an old wound. The family's world, once quiet, now roared with pain and suspicion. That very evening, Muni Reddy filed a formal complaint, naming his own son-in-law, Dr. Mahendra Reddy, as the primary suspect. It wasn't an easy accusation. Mahendra had been part of their family, a man they once trusted completely. But the facts began speaking louder than love. He was the last person with Kritika. He was the one who administered her medicine. He was the one who refused the post-mortem. Every memory now twisted into a question mark. As the investigation deepened, shocking details started to emerge. Officers learned that on the night before Kritika's death, Mahendra had inserted a cannula into her right leg, not her hand, where it's usually placed. Experienced doctors found that strange. There was no serious condition that required intravenous fluids through the leg, especially for someone resting at home. Even Kritika's father had questioned it when he visited that afternoon and noticed her limping. Mahendra had assured him, "It's fine, sir. Don't remove it." But later, when Kritika texted her husband asking if she could take it off because of the pain, he firmly replied, "No. Leave it," because just when everyone thought they knew the whole truth, another revelation was waiting. One that would question everything they believed about the night Kritika died. When Dr. Mahendra Reddy was finally in police custody, everyone believed justice had arrived. Yet for the investigators, something still didn't fit. His confession felt rehearsed, like a version of truth trimmed to protect someone, or something. The way he calmly accepted his guilt was almost too perfect. Could there be more hidden under the surface? As forensic officers combed through Kritika's 5-story house, they stumbled upon something strange on a locked cabinet in what used to be her room. The key wasn't found anywhere, not even among Kritika's personal belongings. When they forced it open, the discovery deepened the mystery. Inside were unopened medical vials, half-used syringes, and printed medical prescriptions, all bearing Mahendra's handwriting. But what caught their attention most was a single piece of paper tucked under a file. It was a prescription note dated April 21st, 2025, listing a rare anesthetic compound, the same one that had taken Kritika's life. The signature at the bottom wasn't Mahendra's. It belonged to another doctor, a colleague from Victoria Hospital, one who swore he had never written such a prescription. When questioned, he said Mahendra had once borrowed his letterhead for hospital records. It became clear Mahendra had forged the prescription to obtain the deadly drug without raising suspicion. But as the story unfolded, another detail left everyone stunned. CCTV footage recovered from the house, the one Mahendra thought he had deleted, showed him entering Kritika's room multiple times during the night of April 23rd. Between 9:30 p.m. and 3 a.m., he was seen going in and out with medical equipment. At one point, he even carried an IV stand. Around 3:15 a.m., he turned off the lights. From that moment onward, Kritika never moved again. The footage alone was enough to confirm premeditation, but the investigation was far from over. Police began tracing Mahendra's communications, and soon they found a series of encrypted chats between him and one of his female friends, a nurse named Anaya. The messages were disturbing. Weeks before Kritika's death, he had written, "Once this is over, I'll be free. No more drama, no more lies." Another message read, "She trusts me completely. She won't see it coming." These weren't the words of a man losing control. They were the cold calculations of someone executing a plan. And yet, when confronted with the screenshots, Mahendra smiled faintly and said, "I didn't mean any of it. It was just talk." But even his calm arrogance couldn't stop the avalanche of truth. The police raided his family's Balaji Medical's pharmacy, where they found records showing a quiet order of that same anesthetic drug placed just days before Kritika's death under a false hospital name. The dots finally connected. Mahendra had used his family's medical business to smuggle the compound, injected his wife in small doses, and then finished the job on that final night. What horrified the investigators most wasn't just the crime. It was the precision. Every move was medically planned. Every symptom was staged to look like her illness was worsening naturally. Even the post-mortem delay was part of his design, to let the chemical's traces vanish from her bloodstream. If Nikita hadn't insisted on an early report, there would have been nothing left to find. During the second round of interrogation, Mahendra's composure cracked. He began to speak, not out of guilt, but out of frustration. "She was weak," he said coldly, "always complaining. I wanted peace, not pity. Divorce would have ruined me, so I gave her what she wanted." His words chilled every officer in the room. The court later learned how Mahendra had used his expertise to calculate doses, micrograms per kilogram, measured precisely so Kritika would seem unwell before dying. Experts testified that only a skilled surgeon with full pharmacological access could have done it. The anesthetic compound wasn't available over the counter. It needed certification, institutional permissions, and storage clearance. But Mahendra had both the knowledge and the connections to bypass every rule. Meanwhile, Kritika's father, Muni Reddy, and her sister Nikita attended every hearing, their faces silent but unyielding. They weren't seeking revenge, they wanted her truth told. That a doctor's trust can become a weapon if guided by greed and ego. In press conferences, Muni Reddy said, "He didn't just kill my daughter. He used science to erase her." Months later, the police filed a detailed charge sheet outlining every layer of Mahendra's deception. Forged documents, illegal drug procurement, tampering with CCTV, and destruction of medical evidence. The public was shaken. Newspapers across India carried the headline, The doctor who turned his wife into a patient forever. But perhaps the most haunting discovery came last. Forensic digital experts recovered a draft message from Kritika's phone that was never sent. Written just hours before her death, it said, "Something feels off tonight. My body hurts where the cannula is. Mahendra says it's normal. I want to believe him, but I'm scared." That one unsent message became the silent testimony that finally spoke for her. As the trial began, Mahendra's defense tried to argue it was a case of medical negligence, not murder. But the weight of evidence crushed every argument. In courtroom silence, prosecutors played the CCTV footage and read Kritika's unsent text aloud. Mahendra stared blankly, offering no emotion, no remorse. He had lost the very thing he thought he'd gain, his freedom. Months later, the verdict was clear. Dr. Mahendra Reddy was found guilty of premeditated murder. The court condemned his misuse of medical knowledge as an act of calculated cruelty. In the aftermath, Kritika's family established a scholarship fund in her name for young medical students who couldn't afford their studies, hoping her passion for healing would live on. Her house, now a place of prayer, filled once more with voices, not of grief, but of remembrance. People spoke her name with respect and sorrow, knowing she was more than a victim. She was a warning to the world that even the most trusted hands can turn dangerous when guided by darkness. But as this case closed, one question still echoed in everyone's mind, one that even justice couldn't fully answer. What drives a man, trained to save lives, to so calmly destroy one? Especially the life of the woman who loved him most. And maybe that question will haunt us longer than the crime itself.